Shalom everyone, Parashat Tzav, Shabbat Hagadol, Tafshin Peivav. In Parashat Tzav, which we very often read like this year, just before Chag Pesach, we read about different korbanot, not Korban Pesach, but in the parasha we read about a different korban, the Korban Todah, the thanksgiving offering. The Korban Todah has some unique aspects to it, but it also has similarities to Korban Pesach. Both of them are called Korbanot Shlamim, in which part of the korban is offered on the altar, on the Mizbeach, and part of it is eaten by the people who bring the korban. And there are differences, because with Korban Todah, you have to bring 40 different breads, loaves of bread, 30 which are matzah, but 10 of which have to be chametz. Of course, with Korban Pesach, you can't bring chametz. There's a difference there, but there is also a similarity in the fact that there is an issue of chametz and matzah. The idea of matzah is that there was distress, there was suffering. A person was in danger and Hashem saved him, so he brings the Korban Todah, in which he expresses the danger by the matzah and being saved by Hashem and being brought into comfort with the chametz, which is the comfortable, pleasant bread. The same is true about matzah and chametz, not eating the chametz on Pesach, but bringing the matzah on Pesach, which expresses the slavery and the suffering we had in Mitzrayim, and Hashem took us out of that. And then on Shavuot, we actually bring chametz. We're not going to get into that right now, but again, it expresses how Hashem took us out of the distress and slavery and brought us to comfort. Another aspect which is similar to both of these korbanot is that we gather large groups of people to eat them together, because you have to eat 40 loaves of bread within one day in the Korban Todah. You have to eat a whole Korban Pesach on Pesach. Each person just has to eat one small part of it. So how does one person eat all of this? So we get together in groups, we sanctify Hashem's name, we tell the people about how Hashem saved us, we talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim, we go through all of the Haggadah together. So we create this group kind of thing, and yet at the same time, every individual has to do this by himself. So we're creating different combinations here. One more thing before we'll try to pull everything together. Another unique aspect about Korban Todah is that it has a Perek Tehillim, Mizmor LeTodah, Perek Kuf, chapter 100 in Tehillim. A special Mizmor that you would say when you brought the Mizmor, the Korban Todah. Do we say Mizmor LeTodah on Shabbat? There are different minagim. Some say yes, some say no. Why? Because on the one hand, you couldn't bring the korban. Because we don't bring korbanot on Shabbat that are not korbanot of Shabbat. But on the other hand, you could say the psalm. You could say, express gratitude to Hashem on Shabbat. We also don't say Mizmor LeTodah on Pesach, because with the Korban Todah you had to bring chametz, so you couldn't do that on Pesach. But if you want to say Mizmor LeTodah as a song, as a praise of Hashem, or thanksgiving to Hashem during Pesach, of course you're allowed to say it. So these are different aspects, and what I'm showing us today here is that from within all these aspects is that mitzvot of the Torah combine a lot of different things. Every person who was saved by Hashem has to bring a Korban Todah individually, but he does it with a whole group of people. Every person has to enter into the Brit, the covenant with Hashem on Pesach, and be part of Korban Pesach, but not alone, with a group of people, because it's not an individual, only an individual covenant with Hashem, it's a national covenant with Hashem. I have to, as an individual, be part of it, but I also have to bring it within Am Yisrael. If I express gratitude to Hashem, I have to say thank you, but I also have to say it with a group of other people, so I create a Kiddush Hashem out of it. On the one hand, every mitzvah has its halacha, the way you have to actually perform it, but it also has a spirit. That's why we have different minagim about, do we say Mizmor LeTodah on Shabbat or on Pesach or not, because on the one hand, the halacha we cannot perform on Shabbat or on Pesach, but the spirit of it we can perform. We can say. So every mitzvah has all these different aspects, and we must always notice within all of the mitzvot of the Torah, the different aspects, the spirit and the action, the individual and being part of Am Yisrael. Perform your part, but also give chizuk to Am Yisrael. Carry out the halacha, but also remember the spirit. Bring the spirit, but also be careful to do that within the framework of halacha. This is true about all the mitzvot of the Torah. We're just showing this right here in these two korbanot, Korban Todah and Korban Pesach. May we all have a Shabbat Shalom, and may we have safe days, a safe Pesach, and also a Pesach which will bring us to days of Simcha.